The human was silent for days, then whispered, "You're all dead." Beginning, the silent prisoner. The prisoner hadn't spoken since the day they brought him aboard the Kyrash Dominion's flagship, Tloran. He was human, an oddity in itself. The Dominion's records held little on his kind, only scraps from fringe colonies and derelict databanks. They knew humans had once spread across the stars, reckless and fragile, but that was long ago. Their worlds had gone dark centuries past, their name fading into myth. Now somehow, one stood in the middle of their warship's brig. Captain Vaylor stood before the cell's shimmering energy bars, studying the man. His appearance was deceptively ordinary, pale skin bruised from capture, short-cropped hair matted with blood and sweat, body clothed in tattered synth weave. Yet his eyes, dark, unyielding, tracked every motion like a predator's. "He hasn't eaten," the medic hissed, voice low. "He hasn't asked for water, hasn't even moved to lie down. It's been 4 planetary cycles." Vaylor's spined crest flicked in irritation. "Every creature breaks eventually. He will too." But when she turned her gaze back, the human was still sitting cross-legged in the exact center of the cell, spine straight, eyes closed as though he were meditating. Silent. Waiting. The crew whispered. Some said he was a deserter from a forgotten species. Others muttered that he was bait from the resistance, planted to spread plague or madness. But no one could explain why the man survived without sustenance, why his body didn't wither, why the silence stretched on until it curdled into unease. On the 7th cycle, Lieutenant Hroth finally snapped. "Captain, he's nothing. Just flesh. Let me extract what he knows. We'll force his tongue open." But before Vaylor could respond, the human opened his eyes. His lips moved for the first time, and in a whisper that seemed to echo through the brig, he said, "You're all dead." Middle, the unease grows. The words spread like wildfire through the ship. Warriors hardened by battle suddenly hesitated when passing the brig, refusing to meet the prisoner's gaze. Some claimed they could hear the whisper replaying in their minds, though he hadn't spoken again. Captain Vaylor called an emergency council in the command chamber. "This is psychological warfare," she insisted, her clawed fingers tapping the table. "He's attempting to weaken morale." "And it's working," muttered Navigator Karen. Half the crew refused to sleep near the brig section. Some report visions. Shadows moving in their quarters. Dreams of suffocation. Coincidence, Vaylor snapped. But even she could not deny that her own rest had been fractured by phantom whispers. The council decided to test the human. They flooded his cell with sound barrages, frequencies designed to crack even the strongest psyches. He didn't flinch. They subjected him to strobe hallucinations, deprivation fields, even direct neural probes. But every instrument failed to register consistent brainwave activity. It was as though he were dormant, waiting for something unseen. Then the deaths began. It started with Engineer Droth. His body was found near the engine core, eyes wide, lungs collapsed. No wounds, no toxins, nothing. He had simply suffocated, though the atmosphere levels were perfect. 2 cycles later, Medic Olrin collapsed in the infirmary. Her blood crystallized inside her veins, frozen solid despite the chamber's warmth. By the 4th death, panic had taken root. The crew whispered the human's words again and again, "You're all dead." Captain Vaylor confronted him personally. She stormed into the brig, slamming a clawed hand against the energy field. "What are you?" she demanded. The man lifted his gaze. Slowly, calmly. "You already know." "I know nothing," Vaylor snarled. His lips curled into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Then you'll learn. One by one." She ordered him beaten. The guards obeyed, striking him with shock batons until his body spasmed against the cell floor. But when they dragged him upright again, there was not a mark left on his skin. The revelation. The Dominion fleet was en route to crush a rebel stronghold near the Alaris Rift. Yet as they neared the coordinates, the stars themselves seemed to dim. Systems flickered. Sensors glitched. And then came the blackout. Every light aboard the Tloran died at once. For 30 full seconds, the warship drifted in darkness. And in that silence, every crew member heard the same whisper in their ears, "You're all dead." When power returned, dozens of crew were gone. Simply vanished. No trace. No alarms. Their life signatures erased as though they'd never existed. Panic consumed the lower decks. Some warriors mutinied, demanding the human be jettisoned into space. Others locked themselves in quarters, refusing duty. The once disciplined flagship now trembled on the edge of collapse. And through it all, the prisoner sat quietly watching. Navigator Karen finally pieced fragments together. She accessed forgotten Dominion archives, digging past redacted files. What she found chilled her. Centuries ago, Dominion scouts had encountered humans on the Rim worlds. The reports described them as adaptable, fragile, and numerous, but also unstable. One line stood out: they whisper to the dark. And the dark whispers back. The files ended abruptly after that. Whole fleets were marked lost in action. The Dominion assumed humans had perished soon after, consumed by their own recklessness. But what if they hadn't? Middle climax, the breaking point. The ship reached the Alaris Rift, a vast scar of nothingness stretching across space, where sensors failed and signals died. It was here, Vela realized, the human had wanted them to come. For the first time, fear cracked her command. "What are you?" she demanded again, voice raw. "Tell me." The man finally rose to his feet. His movements were fluid, almost unnatural after so many days of stillness. He stepped close to the barrier, and his whisper slid across the silence like a blade. "We are what comes after fear." Before her eyes, the barrier shorted out. The brig doors hissed open. Every alarm screamed, yet the man didn't move to strike. He simply walked into the corridor, and every warrior who tried to stop him fell choking to the floor, their bodies unraveling into ash. The ship itself seemed to bend around him, corridors warping as if reality was buckling. Vela ordered all weapons fired. Plasma rounds, disintegration cannons, nothing touched him. They phased through, like bullets through smoke. He moved toward the bridge. Step by step. Whisper by whisper. Crew screamed and scattered. Some tore at their own faces, shrieking that they could see shadows inside their bones. Others dropped lifeless, their hearts ruptured. By the time he reached the command chamber, only Valor and a handful of survivors remained. Ending, the whisper becomes truth. Valor raised her blade staff, talons trembling. "Why?" she spat. "Why kill us? What are you?" The man stopped, his eyes fixed on hers. And at last he spoke not in a whisper, but in a voice that filled every corridor, every console, every soul aboard the ship. "We are humanity. You thought us extinct. But we do not die. We wait. We listen. And when the time comes, we remind the galaxy why it feared us." Valor's grip faltered. "This is vengeance." "No," the man said softly. "This is balance." And with that, the ship's systems collapsed. Gravity failed. Life support died. One by one, every warrior gasped, clawing at their throats as the void swallowed their lungs. Captain Valor fell to her knees, vision darkening. The last thing she saw was the human, standing untouched at the center of the chaos, his whisper curling through her fading mind. "You're all dead."